pretty wild. The big question is what happens next?
And look, there's no blueprint for what happens next. This is extraordinary what's unfolded here in Washington, D.C. today, and there's no guarantee this minerals deal will be signed at all. Just to give context to what we just showed there before, that was about 5 minutes of the Oval Office meeting, which went for about 50 minutes. And most of it was fairly cordial and normal for what we see in an Oval Office. It really was when he asked for the last question there that things went off the rails. But from the White House's perspective, they've been briefing out to journalists saying that it was felt by the US side that this was deteriorating throughout the conversation, that there was no gratitude from Zelenskyy about any kind of past support from the US and the fact that they were signing this deal. And the perspective from the US has been, hey, we are giving you the security because we are taking an economic interest in this region, and so that is what we will be protecting. We're not going to give you a specific security guarantee in relation to this minerals deal, but that's something that could come up in these ceasefire negotiations. That obviously was not enough for Zelenskyy. He came in obviously still wanting to change the terms of what they were going to sign in this minerals deal, and the wheels absolutely fell off. And so to give you an example of how quickly this deteriorated and the mood in the room, this is a photo that's been doing the rounds, and this is the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States with her head literally in her hands as this all unfolded. The mood in the room, you could see, was just really depressed as this all folded out. You could see some of the senior members of the administration all really feeling the enormity of what was happening before them when they were so close to this deal, and now it's completely off the table, and Zelenskyy was told he had to leave the White House campus. Donald Trump put out a statement on Truth Social through his press team. In this, he described his response, saying, "We had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion, and I have determined that President Zelenskyy is not ready for peace if America is involved. Because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage. I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace." Pretty much every senior member of the administration has now put out a statement saying that they also felt like Zelensky's conduct was disrespectful and supported the president, including his envoy to Ukraine and Russia, Kellogg, who has been on the front line of trying to do what he can to bring an end to this conflict. He has also said that he felt it was disrespectful. And quite notably, Lindsey Graham, he is a senator, a Republican senator who has for a long time been very supportive of Ukraine. He helped negotiate some of the funding bills to get them through Congress to continue that support. He's been to Ukraine. He met with Zelenskyy before this, and he said in a press conference and to Fox News that he told Zelenskyy to come in with a sense of gratitude to get this deal done, to come in thanking the president and to be respectful. They had a breakfast, a bipartisan breakfast with senators before Zelenskyy went to meet with Donald Trump, and everyone seemed happy. Lindsey Graham said Donald Trump was happy last night when they met to talk about this deal, and he places the blame of why this all went down so poorly on Zelenskyy.
Everything I and many have been working for to try to get a new relationship with the United States around our critical minerals deal beneficial to both of us was completely obliterated today. I met with Zelenskyy this morning. I urged him to stay on message, be grateful, be thankful. We'll talk about details of security guarantees later. Keep it upbeat, keep it positive. It was absolute, utter disaster. The question for me is he redeemable in the eyes of Americans?
Zelensky's now cancelled a speech he was set to give at the Hudson Institute. He's cancelled a reception that he was supposed to take part in at Ukraine House here in Washington, D.C. The only thing still on his agenda is an interview with Fox News with Brett Baier at 6 p.m. When these world leaders do these interviews, they know that the White House and most likely Donald Trump himself will be watching. So the pressure is on this interview. Will he come in with a different attitude to make up to Donald Trump for what happened, or will he double down And will we see this deal completely fall apart? The indications are that he is going to come in with a very different approach. He's posted on X earlier today, "Thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this visit. Thank you, POTUS," tagging the president's X account, "Congress and the American people. Ukraine needs just and lasting peace, and we are working exactly for that." We also heard from Scott Bessent. Now, he's the Treasury Secretary. He went to Ukraine himself to negotiate this deal, the minerals deal that was supposed to be signed today to give the US profit share and access to critical minerals in Ukraine. Scott Bessent, it was reported, had very fiery conversations with Volodymyr Zelenskyy behind the scenes and essentially was the one telling him he needed to sign the deal because he didn't really have any other options. And it was time to get this thing done. He was present today for this Oval Office meeting as well, and he spoke afterwards about his interpretation of what happened.
You don't do a negotiation with the President of the United States in public like this. That we were scheduled to have lunch afterwards, and that perhaps he could have brought up some of the points. Instead, he chose to let things go into a downward spiral on worldwide television. And, again, I keep coming back to the disrespect of the American people.
So the pressure is on for this meeting. There was also supposed to be, I should have said, a joint press conference between Zelenskyy and Donald Trump. But given they didn't even make it to lunch, and apparently, according to Fox, those dishes are being shared by the White House staff because they weren't even touched by any of the leaders who were supposed to be sitting down to eat. That was also cancelled as well. So this interview at 6 o'clock local time in a few hours will be the critical thing that decides whether Zelenskyy can turn this around or whether they're done.